Welcome. It's nice to have you visit with us again. I'm Mary Davidson, and it's our community. As you may have guessed by all these people that I've introduced you to, I like to interview local authors. And the guest today is a local author. Her name is Barbara Stuber, and she has written a book called Girl in Reverse, which I told her I thoroughly enjoyed. And part of Barbara's persona is that she is a docent at the Nelson Askins Museum. Right. And so she has brought into this book some wonderful works of art that are housed at the Nelson and that you can go see. And I must say that Girl in Reverse, you have to forgive all of my sticky notes, but Girl in Reverse has won the NPR prize. And I said to her, what category, because there are so many categories, and you told me?
Well, it's in young adult, but also in historical fiction and realistic fiction and for art lovers and for the dark side, meaning it deals with topics that are controversial. So I was very excited to think that has a broad appeal in that way.
Well, and I told Barbara, I said, you know, I really hate to categorize it as a teen book. You will enjoy reading it. And Barnes & Noble has it, and Amazon?
Amazon, Rainy Day Books.
Okay. Well, go get a copy. And it's a good read, and it will make you think. And speaking of that, the first piece of art that we have chosen is right out in front of the Nelson, and it is a Rodin statue of the thinker. And Barbara says, I guess the thinker is like me today, lots of problems and no answers. But I think it's like Lily too.
Right.
And Lily is the lovely young lady that is the main character of Barbara's book. And you know what's interesting is when you look at these pieces of art, it means something different to every person that looks at it.
So true.
And I think that that's what makes it wonderful, because most of the time it's helpful because it makes you think about something. And so you can go look at the thinker. This book is set on the Country Club Plaza around 1951. Right. And it's a story of a young lady by the name, she's 16 years old, and her name is Lily Firestone. And she is a Chinese girl adopted into a white family. And she was adopted at 3 years of age, and she was taken to the Sisters of Mercy Children's Home. Did you go visit that home? Do you know anything about the Sisters of Mercy Children's Home?
The Sisters of Mercy Children's Home exists in my imagination,
number
one. Although I did visit orphanages, other ones, so I felt like I had a good sense of it. And as a young girl, my mother and my sister and I used to visit an orphanage and take things. So I had a pretty strong sense of what it would be like.
But that's the beauty of being an author, because you can put many things together to make up something new.
Right. I love doing that. It's my favorite thing.
I think I read this in one of the reviews that was done of your book, and it said, Barbara Stuber's Girl in Reverse offers what feels like a refresher course in being human.
And love that.
I like that. I'm sure you've read it too. But I thought that was, and I saw that after I read the book, so I really, it sort of resonated with me, Barbara.
Good.
Lily is caught in the Korean War. Now, Lily happens to be Chinese, and we're talking now about the Korean War and communism and that kind of thing. And it starts out with a political cartoon that one of her classmates has brought in for current events. Talk about that a little bit.
Right. She's the only Asian girl in her high school, so there she's sitting in class, and a young man and a fellow student brings a political cartoon that shows a tank full of commies, Chinese commies, getting ready to roll over the crosswalk that's full of little children that all are wearing name tags of the different countries in the United Nations. So it's like the big bear is going to kill us all, roll us all over. And with that moment, and she's sitting there, the rest of the class begins to, I would say, bully her in the name of patriotism, calling her commie, chink, and she is absolutely lost in place in her seat there.
Well, she's frozen.
Frozen.
She really is. And the Neil, who is the young man that brought the cartoon in, he says, his brother, by the way, is in the army in
Right.
Korea. And he says, the evil empire is attacking our boys this very minute. What's their next target? The US of A. And then somebody else, and the Chinaman has a mask over the muzzle of a crazed bear. I mean, it's propaganda in its worst form. And somebody else says it's chink, commie. And she's not Korean at all.
No.
She is simply Asian.
Right.
And I think that have we not been in a situation like that, we don't understand Frozen.
Right.
But
she's lost in place. She does not know what to do with herself.
And her Asian heritage, and I think the word target is most appropriate here. She's sick of racism. She's been taunted before.
Right.
And I want to, we're going to show this again, but I would like to show Guanyin of the Southern Seas, because Guanyin of the Southern Seas is, well, she's, I think, beautiful. And she epitomizes peace and contentment, and she's huge. This kind of fools you if you haven't seen her, because she is really big.
Right.
And you stand on the floor and you look up at her and talk about her third eye.
Ah, all right. Right. There is a spot in her forehead. It's called an urna, U-R-N-A, and it means a place of wisdom, a place of insight. So Guanyin, Bodhisattva, looks into the heart of things, not the surface, but into what's behind that. And her view is always with full compassion, full empathy, full sublime love. And so I wanted Lily to experience the juxtaposition of that aspect of her heritage, this Chinese wonderment, this thousands of years civilization with these qualities in it, next to this horrible political cartoon that is portraying Chinese people as subhuman.
Well, and I think it's appropriate at this point to talk about what is a bodhisattva, and because she has a job to do.
Right.
Besides seeing things at the heart of the matter.
Right. A bodhisattva I think of as, it's not a person, an outside person, it's more of a symbol of a potential in everyone. So if we choose, you and I choose to treat a situation, another person, something that's difficult with our full present heart and attention, we are being bodhisattvas at that moment. So it's current, it's earthy, and it's real to this day.
I always like to think of a bodhisattva as a bit of a guide.
Nice.
To steer, if you look at what the meaning, then you can use that peace and tranquility to guide you. And I think with this the Korean War was raging, and
Yes.
the commies and communists and the Russian bear and everybody fear was rampant. And I think that, yes, Lily was made a target, but within her, she was sick of the racism that she faces. And her parents, her adoptive parents, who were both non-Asian, they were white, they didn't take her seriously when she said, her mother, just thought about it. She said, if Ajax won't do it, then she didn't know what to do.
If Ajax won't clean it, it's not a problem.
That's right. But for Lily, that war was everywhere.
Right.
And it was at the dinner table, and it was in the halls at school, and it was especially, as you say, within her own, these are your words, not mine, within her own skin.
You can easily internalize what you keep hearing about yourself. So that puts it inside your own skin, and it creates a feeling of maybe I'm not worth anything. Who's going to ever, how can this ever get broken, this cycle ever get broken? So if you look like the enemy, the war is everywhere for you.
Well, and I need to say to you, her teacher, when all of this uproar happened in class, what did she do, Mrs. Arth?
Nothing.
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 But don't you think that she probably was a figure that you as the author put in to say that many people do nothing?
That's right. And in researching for a book like this, I read many memoirs and many books around this topic, and that experience was not reserved only for Lily Firestone in this era at that high school. It's common.
You know, I would like, and this is not part of the Nelson collection, but this image is in the collection at the Nerman Gallery here at Johnson County Community College, and it's by Roger Shimomura. And Roger Shimomura was, and his grandparents during the World War II, during World War II, Japanese Americans were put in internment camps because they were Japanese. Many of them were American citizens, born in this country and naturalized as well.
Right.
And much of his art has to do with the internment camp. And the point here that I think is important to make is that those hurts scar deeply.
Right. That's right. Yes. And to recover from that takes a lifetime, if ever. Yes.
If
right.
ever.
If ever.
If ever.
Right.
And I think this is called American infamy. And it was not the best day that this country has ever had when they built these camps, and the Japanese Americans were in there for several years.
Right. One thing I think that I became sensitized to in writing of this was during World War II, the Japanese were our enemy and the Chinese were our ally.
Yes.
Then a few years later, it's the opposite, and now the Chinese are our enemies and the Japanese are now our allies.
Exactly. And you know, you make the point that labels are made to fit hate. And in the book, Lily says, it's easy as pie. She says, without trying, I've changed from being a monkey to a commie.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I wonder she doesn't know who she is.
No wonder. No, that's exactly right. But it touches others as well. And you make that point clear through the book, that it isn't just this one young lady that bigotry and hate and discrimination touch. And it's a very sad thing. Instead of spraying bullets, often we spray words. You make that statement in your and I think that's so true.
Right. It's still happening. Still happening. We
well.
have a curriculum guide that goes with the book that's used in schools, and it's the same question. If you were sitting in class and you saw this going on with another student, and you're sitting there, would you say something? Would you do something? What would you do?
What would you do?
Right. So I like the idea that a book can offer current day dilemma and question. All right, who am I relative to this in 2015? Just like, 1951.
Well, exactly. And this prejudice touched another member of her family too, her brother Ralphie.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Ralphie is a chunky little Boy Scout, 10 years old, and he's just as cute as he can be. And he says, well, and he kind of mumbles around, and Lily says to him, she said, somebody's making fun of you because of me. And she says, like the guys in Scouts, in school too? Well, he says, yeah. Well, he says, what else do you want to talk about? See, but it hurts.
Right.
And this young man is a biological child of her parents, so he is not Asian.
Right.
But it touches everyone.
Right. And what does Lily tell him to do but just ignore it, which is the worst advice she has ever been given. So I wanted to hit that too, that sometimes we know what's best, but we still might say something that's he shouldn't ignore it.
No.
But she wants him to not be hurt
But often,
by it.
but especially if they're young, they don't know what to do.
I know, exactly.
And I think, but she did do something about this cartoon. Let's go back to that
All
just a
right,
minute.
sure.
And she said to herself, "You did it. You did it for once. You did the right thing." And
Yes.
what did she do?
Okay. When the boy who's handing her the political, or that she's handing the cartoon to, won't take it from her because it's contaminated with communism because she touched it, it falls on the floor, and she thinks, and without realizing she's going to do it, she stands up, she steps on the cartoon, and she walks out of class. The first thing she's ever done, that's Chinese. That's standing up for herself. So often you want to start a book on the day that's different, and that's what I had in mind in saying, okay, here it is, here's the whole thing, now what's she going to do? And it's the day that's different. She does something. She
And
has a flame in her.
What did the principal do?
Right, let her walk right out.
Let her walk out, but she got punished for it.
Yeah, she got a detention.
She
Yeah,
got
she
a
got
detention.
a detention.
But she says, "I am a Chinese character without a plot," she says. But I do believe the cartoon was a catalyst for her career as a real person, you say.
Yeah, right.
Do you believe that?
I do. And that the spur of the moment, even controversial thing may be the gift. And that's what happened for her. Without the cartoon and pushing it that hard, it was a gift.
It was a gift. And sometimes we don't see that the gift is a gift
No.
until a little bit later.
Right.
And her mother says, "You don't live life in reverse."
Yeah.
That's an interesting statement.
Yes. She doesn't want Lily to look at her reverse, at her past. She's afraid for her, in part. And the more Chinese Lily becomes, or the more she investigates it, the more chance of her getting further humiliated or further, mistreated.
Well, it will, and Mrs. Firestone is very proud of their family tree,
Right.
which doesn't include any Asians.
Anything like that,
And she
no.
mentions that, and this child is sitting,
Yeah.
and she doesn't mean it to be hurtful.
Right.
It just is.
Yeah.
So sometimes we say things that we don't mean to be hurtful, and we don't think before we say it.
Right. I think it added to Lily's feeling like she's sort of invisible.
Yes.
That
yes.
she's just the non-entity.
Now, enter Mr. and Mrs. Chow. And we're talking about, they own a restaurant. Talk about them a little bit, because they're really interesting people.
Right. Well, number one, I wanted Lily to have an opportunity to see some real live Chinese people, because there were very few and far between in Kansas City in this era. And the idea that they were earthy and outgoing, and that they were having success with their ethnicity. They were proud of it. They weren't cowering, under their desk. They had made a business out of it. They were connected in the world. And I needed her, along with many things, but I needed her to see those kind of folks. And immediately Mrs. Chow says, "Call me Auntie." Well, oh boy, that's the first, here's somebody I can connect to.
And she does.
And yeah.
And the comment that you made is, "This is not talk of the bloody red peril." They're talking about you're talking about the Chow restaurant. "This is not talk of the bloody red peril. This is about good luck and chopping cabbage and families and tanks of friendly non-communist fish and their nice owners."
Right.
And I
Yeah.
love that. And I also love your description of the Chow's kitchen. You said, "This kitchen is alive with plucked chickens and gutted fish on huge chopping blocks made from slices of tree trunk. The surfaces are infinite crosscuts. Mrs. Chow pours boiling tea over one," and this is a fish, "to clean it after filleting the fish. And she said oolong is best to do this." And her glasses fogged up, and she had baskets of seaweed, racks of stock pockets, strainers, knives, and whisks, and rounded cooking pans called walks, which Lily says her mother would
Never use
no,
such a thing.
never tolerate in her kitchen.
No, a wobbly pot, are you kidding?
That's
Not okay.
But I like that description, so
Thank
I
you.
took the liberty of
That's okay.
inserting it where I wanted it.
I had much consultation with a wonderful woman in Kansas City who is a restaurant owner over all of those details, a Chinese restaurant
Yeah.
owner.
Well, I remember the Chinese restaurant at the Plaza.
House of Toy.
House of-
That's
yeah.
that's what I had in mind.
Yeah,
As I
yeah.
ate there myself.
And I remember as a little girl, we used to go in there, and it always smelled like the sauce.
The ginger and garlic and
Yeah, but it always
soy
had that
sauce.
same smell, the soy sauce smell. And I can smell that to this
I
day.
know. Right.
And now we have to, I'm bringing these interesting people in that are somewhat in themselves bodhisattvas.
Right. That's right. When I said bodhisattva is a choice people make, I clearly had in mind that Ralph and Mrs. Chow and whoever else you might be bringing up there are bodhisattvas. Yeah, right.
Elliot?
Oh,
Let's talk
yeah.
about Elliot.
Okay,
I liked
Elliot.
Elliot.
Good. Me too. Me too. Right. He is a person who sees things differently than other people, and he's not judging a surface. He's trying to get to it. He's trying to render it. He's trying to understand it.
He says if you don't understand it, draw it.
Yes, that's the way to understand something. So then who does he draw? He draws Lily. He wants to understand her. So I wanted him to get to her, but not through some hokey romance thing. I wanted it to be real and on a piece of paper with a nice charcoal pencil, and to really get to Lily's beauty.
And he's a very, very talented artist.
Right, right.
Okay, and he does help her along too. And how about Mr. Howard? Mr. Howard is a very nice man, and not always what he seems at the very first time we meet him,
Right,
which I think is interesting too.
right. I wanted a person to that Lily could look to and say, you know, I've been through some of this same stuff you're going through, Lily Firestone, and I've survived it, and I have wisdom, and I'm going to tell you some stuff. So I needed that kind of character. I also wanted someone he works at the school, but he's African American, and his own children can't go to that school in that era. They can't go. The school is segregated, so he's felt it. He would imagine what it would be like for one of his sons to be sitting in that classroom.
Well, yes, and he isn't just a janitor either.
No.
He is a chef.
Right. So exactly right. I wanted to put something out of left field and say, yes, you don't judge by a broom and a face. You look deeper.
But he is the chef in the Chinese restaurant, in the
is.
Chow's restaurant.
That's right.
So you're pulling the story together a little bit. And all of these wonderful guides are going to help her. She gets a fortune cookie. And I think it just kind of illustrates our point. The fortune cookie says, bodhisattvas surround you.
Yeah. And when she first reads it, she goes, what in the
What is
heck
that? Yes.
does that mean? But she learns. They do.
Yes. And, you know, a dream, a soldier, a son, their country, a baby can go backward and then go forward when she meets Sister Evangeline.
Ah, yes.
I love
Yes.
Sister Evangeline.
Oh, thank you.
Sister Evangeline was another guide.
She was. She was fashioned after an elderly nun that I spent a huge amount of time talking with. So I had Sister Rosalima right here, and I just kind of poured her into Sister Evangeline.
In the art room, there was a picture, a Picasso.
Yeah.
And I think we need to take a look at that because I think that was rather important
Yes.
in Lily's life as
Right.
well.
Okay, right. Yes, there it is.
And that's called The Girl Before the Mirror.
That's right, Girl Before the Mirror.
That's not at the Nelson, by the way.
No, it's at the Museum of Modern
Right,
Art
New
in
York,
New
yeah,
York.
yeah.
Right, yes.
But you see, within that mirror,
yeah.
what she sees.
She sees her gone mom, her birth mother, reflected in the mirror. The woman on the right with a hard tear scarring her eye, and maybe a pregnant stomach that is empty now, kind of sucked behind the mirror of time.
Which gone mother brings me to the box that Ralphie found in the attic.
Okay.
And within that box, Talk about it just a little bit.
All right, it's just an old clunky box that has broken bits, artifacts of Chinese from ancient China. It's a hodgepodge of completely puzzling objects at first.
It's a rock, some pictures.
And there's a door knocker that looks like it's come off a vampire's castle. There is a chunk of jade. Things that typically you would not, a young girl would not think, oh, this is what my mother is left for me. This is not like soft and appealing like baby booties and
But
so
what she
forth.
sees at the Nelson and the people that she meets, and we don't go too far because I don't want to give away the end, but the things that she sees at the Nelson, and we might want to look at the piece of jade.
Right.
It's a B, a BI,
Right.
and it is at the Nelson, and it is
Right.
absolutely beautiful. Now, if you look at the right-hand dragon on your right side, you see a broken tail.
Right,
And remember, there's a little piece of jade in that box.
in the box.
And
yes.
this bee represents the world, and the dragon's the emperor of China. This was made, about 475 BC?
I
This
believe
is
so.
one elderly piece of jade.
Yes, it's amazing.
And the other thing, there is one little slipper in that box, the
Right.
cloud slippers.
Yes,
And you can see those.
Right.
There they are. And I need to tell you that those slippers are about 1.1 inches long.
They're very tiny.
They're very tiny,
Right.
but she had one, and the other one she found at the Nelson. And there were some pictures
Right.
and a hand, and we need to take another look at Guanyin of the Southern Seas, because those were pictures when that was discovered. And there
Right.
she is, her
All right.
hand, and you see
Right.
the
There's
hand sticking up.
The guanyin there is made out of carved out of one piece of wood, except the wrist and
Except the
the hand and that finger.
And there was, now I have to tell you that the person that she meets at the Nelson, the items in her box, and all of these things bring Lily's life together. And she has taken a very long trip for a 16-year-old girl to look at her life in reverse.
Right, right.
What a wonderful story.
Oh, thank
But
you.
I need to end up with what Mr. Howard says when he shows the prisms to the Boy Scouts. And he says, the prejudice that you internalize and turn against yourself is the worst. And Lily had done that
Yes.
until she went to the Nelson. She looked in the box. She had the benefit of all of these bodhisattvas around her.
She allowed herself to let the art transform her.
She did. And I think the operative word is allowed herself.
Yeah. Right.
Because she is a very fine young 16-year-old, and she is going to be a very fine woman.
Good. I'm glad to know that she has a bright
I
future.
thought you'd like to know that. Yes, yes. But one reviewer said of the book, which I thought was very good, she said, Girl in Reverse is about becoming one's own person in a variety of senses, not only learning how to stand up to bullies or honing the agility to recognize and combat prejudice. And I'm thinking that another sentence that we might add is, in Lily's case, it was part of growing up.
Right. A coming of age.
A coming of
we
age.
all go through.
Yes.
Right.
Perhaps not as
There's so many
severely,
rough edges.
yes, as severely, but people go through it. Young people go through it every day.
Right.
And I congratulate you on making a statement that pain in others is a responsibility of all of us.
Yes, that's the message of the Bodhisattva as well. Right.
And so go to the Nelson and look at all. And it's really fun to read about them. And some I might already seen, but it's really fun to read about them in your book, and then go and look at them.
Right. We have a novel art tour card that is a self-guided tour right through the Nelson.
There it is.
So you can get in the characters' footsteps and be in the scenes of of the story as you're reading it.
Now, can you pick up this card if you go to the
It's
Nelson?
at the Nelson. It's also available on my website, and in some shops where you buy the book, the cards are there as well.
The cards are there. Because I just think that you have a whole group of things that are good for looking and learning.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I have to say that I need to tell people about your other book,
Ah.
Crossing the Tracks. If you read Girl in Reverse, this is Barbara's second book.
This is my first book, and yes, Girl in Reverse is the second.
It's the second, but this one also won a prize.
It did, yeah. It was a finalist for the William C. Morris Debut Novel Award.
So you've got 2 out of 2 here.
Doing all right.
That's
and I will
right.
say, just as a teaser, one of the characters in Crossing the Tracks has a cameo appearance in Girl in Reverse.
So we'll have to look for
So,
it.
right, the teaser.
I have to say, Barbara Stuber, it has been truly a pleasure to have you, and I hope you have enjoyed visiting with Barbara about Girl in Reverse as much as I have. And I thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, because I always look forward to welcoming you to It's Our Community.